the presenter today for her WISE project, Sarah Alter. Sarah, as I think all of you know, is an amazing, powerful, intelligent, and interesting young woman. Working with her this year has been a special gift for me. I've been a WISE mentor many, many times, and I'm retiring this year, so to have someone as driven and as talented and as committed to WISE as Sarah has been has made it all the more special for me. She's going to talk about some really interesting and powerful things today. I'd like to introduce Sarah Alter.
Hi, I'm Sarah. So WISE is it's WISE Individual Senior Experience, and I chose WISE because after watching my sister's presentation and seeing her how hard she worked on it, I knew I wanted to do the same thing. So choosing my mentor, it was an easy choice. Sophia constantly talked about him, and she always, I don't know, she just always had like a good positive vibe. And I had him as a teacher, and I knew he would keep me on track and just have me focused. So my project is, so I'm an assistant to a wildlife rehabilitator. So I'm going to be talking about that. And I went for a trip to Nepal for community service to help kids and teens who have been trafficked. And so it's called community service. It's important to me because I feel like everyone should help each other. And like today, just today we just need like more people to care for each other and be there for each other. So I became involved in my wildlife rehabilitation with named Annie Marnay, and she used to have a 4-H club. So when I was there for meetings, she would always have different animals there, and I was always just so interested in it. So when she ended her club, she kind of just took me along with her. And she just let me help her. And then I got to go on this trip to Nepal when my mom saw like a Facebook post about it, and she saw that the My Goal Foundation was going, and immediately I wanted to go. I love traveling, and I wanted to do something to help people. So before I discuss everything about the birds and all, I'd like to mention economics. So some opportunity costs I had was we go to events to talk about the birds, and that takes up most of my weekends. So instead of like sleeping in and catching up in my sleep or hanging out with friends, I do that. And then by spreading awareness for them, I'm like supporting, helping scarcity, which is the belief that every natural resource is limited. And then my trip to Nepal, I took 2 weeks out of school, so 2 weeks out of my education, and then I had to fundraise. I got donations from close family members, and I asked my teachers for school supplies to donate to kids. What do you think wildlife rehabilitation is? Does anyone know what?
Oh, I don't know. I just have a guess. Is it when like injured animals are like brought into a safe place and kind of like nursed back to health?
Troy, what do you think?
Well, there's different, I would say there's different categories, like either it can't be released back into the wild, or it's like a baby fawn, it was left by its mother, they rehabilitate it, and then they send it back out to the wild.
So wildlife rehabilitation, it's to provide professional care to an orphan, sick, or injured animal, and the goal is to release them back into the wild. So this is a picture of Annie because she couldn't make it today. She had another event. So Annie is a wildlife rehabilitator. She's focused more on birds, and she's a volunteer. So wildlife rehabilitators are all volunteers. So money to pay for the food and the buildings all come out of her pocket, and some donations. And she fundraises by going to events, like she goes to schools. We go to the Forsyth Nature Center Park, and we educate people of saying, like, this is what happens to birds and how you can prevent this. So I'm going to introduce them. So does anyone know what kind of bird this is?
Sweet owl?
Do you know what kind of owl?
I don't know what kind of owl it is.
It is an owl. He's a barred owl, and his name is Elf 2. So he's named Elf 2 because Elf 1, he sadly passed away. He was hit by a car, and he had an affected eye so badly that they had to remove it. So they sealed his eyelids closed, but he sadly passed away over the summer. But then Annie got Elf 2, and Elf was also hit by a car, and he has brain and eye damage, so he can only see shadows or big blurs. Okay, this is going to be a hard question. Does anyone know what kind of these are? Or if they're babies?
Great horn.
Great horn was a good guess, but
No. So they're full-grown screech owls, and all four of them have been hit by cars at different points, and each one of them have eye damage, and like physical eye damage that you could see, and you can't really release like an owl that needs its eyesight to see for hunting. So these are all educational birds that we use. So does anyone know what kind of bird this is?
Well,
Do you know what kind?
orange.
It's a good guess. So he's a broad-winged hawk. His name's Pete, and he was also hit by a car, and his eye was so infected that they had to remove it. And just like, but unlike Elf, his eye lids are still open, so you can see just where the eye used to be. You can see in this picture. And so broad-winged hawks are migratory birds, and they go down to South America. So when it's winter, Annie brings him down in the basement.
Not quite
His version of South America. To the border.
Oh, and I have
let's go back to the first barred.
the sound of a barred owl.
If it works.
So barred owls sounds like the call sounds like who cooks for you, who cooks for you all. That's how you can tell. And the screech owls, I don't think they screech. But some people do.
Yeah, it sounds like Winnie.
Yeah, a whinny. So I don't know where they get the name. And then a Broadway hawk sounds.
That didn't happen yesterday.
Well. Okay. Well, we're just gonna sit down.
You can't imitate it?
No. But it's kind of like a whistle, kind of, in a way. So I got the opportunity to go to Nepal to work with kids and teens who have been trafficked. And the whole reason I got to go to Nepal was the My Goal Foundation. And Matthew and Noel are from the My Goal Foundation, so they're here. So the My Goal Foundation was founded by Matthew and Elise Gold after their daughter committed suicide. And their daughter was named Maya, and her dream was to go to Nepal and volunteer at orphanages after high school. And they decided they wanted to make that dream real. So in honor of Maya, they started this foundation and got to go to Nepal. So I don't know if you guys know, but I didn't know where Nepal was, so I had to look that up. So kind of like a stretched out rectangle, and didn't realize how small it was compared to like everything near it. So we volunteered at elementary school for 2 days, and it was rebuilding its school from the earthquake that happened in 2015. So we helped make a mural for them and played with the kids. The first day, it was very hard to communicate with them. After like a 45 uphill mountain walk just to the school, we were kind of pushed into classrooms with a bunch of like 30 or more kids, and we weren't really told what to do. We just kind of handed off. But then we got paper and markers, but we still not like we didn't know if they were supposed to draw something or write something. So it was very confusing, and they didn't know any English because they're elementary school kids, so it was really hard to communicate with them. But by the second day, I got over the barrier, and then a lot of people did. And I kind of, so some other teens from the My Goal Foundation were trying to teach them a song. They were trying to teach them ABC song, Baba Black Sheep, and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And I don't know about them, but when I was in elementary school, I didn't pay attention to the Spanish teacher that came in. So I kind of just sat myself in like a group of kids, and then they soon started to like be curious, and they tried to talk to me, but I just couldn't understand them. But we got over that, and they started playing with my hair, and they loved holding hands, which I thought was so cute. So another thing that it stuck with me was the Kumari. And the Kumari is believed as a living goddess to the Hindu and Buddhists. And so they're embodied by baby girls, and they have to go through a 20-day process, and they have to fulfill 32 perfections. So one of the examples of the 20-day process, which I thought was crazy, was they have to witness beheadings of animals, and then they have to spend a night with the beheaded animals, which, like, think of like a 3-year-old girl just like in a dark room with like it just surprised me. And then the 32 perfections, so she was not allowed to have any blemishes on her skin. and she had to have eyelashes like a cow. So like she had to have long eyelashes, and she had to be from the highest caste system. And she was supposedly she's can cure the sick, bless of protection and prosperity to people, and it's said that just seeing her brings good fortune. But after her first menstrual cycle, she's basically kicked out of the palace, and it was said in the past that being an ex-Kumari was dishonoring your family, and if you would marry an ex-Kumari, it was said to bring bad luck, so no one wanted to marry her. So this is a picture of a 9-year-old Kumari from 2015. When I was there, I did see a Kumari, but she wasn't this one. She was 3 years old. I forget her name, but I don't know. It's brought a lot of emotions seeing her, because she's not allowed to leave the palace only for 13 days, and that's during festival days, and she can only wear red. And just I kept thinking like about the parents, because you can't really tell a goddess what to do, so it's hard to like teach her things not to do or something. So after that trip and after everything, I definitely have a new perspective of life, and I realized how privileged lives we live, and we don't even realize it. I know here, like, we complain about how there's no service, or we can't take our phone somewhere, or if we don't have enough Wi-Fi, but people in Nepal, they don't even have finished roads, they don't have working toilets. Some people don't even have roofs on their houses. They have just tin with bricks and tires to hold them down. But they don't complain about it. They're satisfied with their lives, and they go about like just a regular day, and they treat everyone like family. They had a saying. It was your friends, your family, your teachers, and your guests are gods. So you treat them like gods or goddesses, and I really like that. So I want to say some thank yous. Franny, thank you for being so supportive and just starting wise. Because without you, I just don't know what I'd do. I'd probably be home complaining that school sucks. Sullivan, thank you for being my mentor and just giving me some criticism, even though you didn't like to, and just making wise worth it.
Thank you.
Then I want to thank Lauren Yanks, who I interviewed, because she just taught me so much about Nepal and gave me like a heads up of what I was going to see. I also want to thank Annie Martinet. She's not here yet though, because she's in Poughkeepsie. But I want to thank her for always just keeping me around and teaching me so much. And I want to thank the My Goal Foundation for letting me have this opportunity of going to Nepal. And Evie, I want to thank you for being just you. You're like, without you, I don't know what I would be or do. My mom, thank you for supporting me no matter what, even if I'm not in the best mood. And I bite your head off, but you still deal with me, so thank you. Is there any questions? Yeah.
You mentioned that on your trip you worked with traffic girls. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what you did with them and like just kind of like your experience and like your reflections on it?
So the teens were from HCC, and HCC is Himalayan Children's Charity. And I didn't really ask them about like how they were trafficked and stuff, but we did hang out a lot, and we went sightseeing together, and I love it. I met one girl, Ambika, and she wants to be, she wanted to continue studying, she wanted to go in business and about the government too. And so I just thought it was like she could, I don't know, I was proud of her. Like she came from, like, I don't know her situation, but she like grew up on it, I guess. So I thought it was fun, so I liked it. Yeah.
You mentioned that a person who is engaged in wildlife rehabilitation mostly volunteers. Are there certifications at all? Do veterinarians ever take part? What are some of those other sides?
So wildlife rehabilitators are all volunteers, so they don't get paid at all. Some veterinarians are, like, they do take in wild birds, but most of them don't. Annie goes to Newburgh's vet because Dr. I don't know his name right now, but he like volunteers his time to help her.
Certifications?
Yeah. Oh, certification. So Annie has a federal and state permit to be a wildlife rehabilitator, and then she also has a license to keep educational birds. And those are what, that's what ELF 2, the screech owls, and Cape were. So educational birds are birds that have been permanently injured, and they can't be released into the wild for their safety, so they won't survive if they do. So instead of euthanizing them, we use them as educational birds. Yeah.
Sarah, first, just a comment and then a question, if you wouldn't mind. The comment, actually there's two comments. The first comment is your excitement obviously shows how into you were into this project. So thank you for showing us, and I know your excitement is contagious in the school as it is anyway. Just a comment about the rehabilitation program. If maybe the students in here and yourself could help me, we have an evening program on June 8th at the high school auditorium. It's from an organization very similar to that from Saugerties. They're called the Ravensbeard Center. And we have a speaker who's coming down from 6 to 7 Friday night. So hopefully, you know, they'll be bringing some birds of prey, some owls, some hawks. So hopefully you can help us spread that word.
It's Ellen, right?
Yes.
She's a falconer. So she's probably gonna fly her birds around. But Annie's not a falconer. But she uses like a lot of techniques from them. But she's thinking about doing her getting her license.
Awesome. So my question then is, you know, when you go to a different country, I was born in a different country, I came to a different country, you pretty quickly see there are a lot of differences.
Yeah.
What was one of the most significant things that stood out in your mind in Nepal?
The colors. There's so many beautiful colors. And then, like, getting back to JFK, it seems so dull. I felt like I was in a prison because it was all gray and gloomy. Immediately I wanted to go back.
That's great, thank you.
Stella?
I was wondering, I've never really talked to you much, so maybe I'm missing something. Is there a connection I'm not seeing between your work with birds and your work in Nepal?
No, there's not really a connection. It's just all community service that I've done. Yes?
I'm wondering if some of our students wanted to get involved with the Maya Gold Foundation or with doing community service like that. Like how can they get involved?
Well, they could, there's Facebook. So the Facebook is the Maya Gold Foundation. And you could just probably look up like events and you could ask them. I don't know what.
On the website.
It's on the website too.
And we have a youth action team.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think it's really cool because you did make a connection between these two things in the very beginning of the presentation. You talked about how important it is for us all to take care of each other, especially now. And that's really what you were doing in both aspects of your project, so I see that. But I just want to say thanks because you also have taken care of so many of us, including me, since you became my office manager and started running the place and helping with WISE and saying, I got you, we got this, I got you, we got this, we got this, and just things get done and taken care of. So I just want to thank you publicly. I totally see the connection. I think you have a huge heart. I think you're an amazing person. I'm so grateful for you, and I've told you that before privately, but I don't mind saying it publicly. But I have a question about songbirds. So it used to be, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it used to be when you would drive, songbirds would know to get out of the way of the cars. And now I feel like I have to slow down, especially when I see the baby birds, like they don't just get out of the way of the cars. And I'm just wondering if you think there's anything like in the atmosphere with all the technology and the satellites that's like throwing off their sonar.
I don't really know, but that has happened to me too. I know, like, I don't think birds are that smart. Like, but like, because they would have known, like, to get out of the way. Like with owls and hawks, they get hit by cars because they see, like, food or even just a leaf go across the road, and they focus on that, not realizing there's something coming.
They're distracted.
Yeah.
Like teenagers.
Thanks. That helps. Any other questions? Three?
Are you going to continue with the Maya Gold Foundation next year?
I'm hoping to. They were talking about going back to Nepal. So, maybe? Depends, because I'm going to college.
The Kambia, the little girl goddess, like, who decides that she, like, is it like a religious leader or the government that decides if she gets to be a Kambia? And what was everybody else's reaction when they saw her?
Everyone else's reaction were pretty similar to mine, because it was so different from here, and like it got to people a lot. And then what was the other question?
Like, who gets to decide?
How do they pick?
It's the priest and the government official. Any other questions?
Yeah, is there more than one Kumari
Yeah.
serving?
Throughout Nepal, I think there's 13 others.
13, okay. Actually, I had another question, which is, you mentioned that it was a big trip when you went to the school. So how do the kids get to school?
They don't have buses, so they have to walk. And since it's up on a hill, they live like around there, but they do have to walk like 10, 20 minutes. For us, it was uphill. Awful. Any more questions? Yes.
What differences did you notice about the schools, like there and here?
So the new school, it didn't have a lot of windows. I felt too contained, I guess, because like normally like here there's like a ton of windows, but there was like one medium-sized window with bars on it. Like I felt more like in a prison, and like there was at one time they closed the door, which was metal, like an iron door, and that just thought like, oh, we're just caging in kids, so I didn't like it. Rachel, you have a question?
Are eyes the main injury on birds, or is that just how it was like kind of placed in where they got hit?
It all depends on where they get hurt. Most of them have eye injuries. Some they can be fixed and they're released, but then like any will release songbirds with one eye, but a bird of prey she doesn't because they need both the eyes to see. Yeah. Toy.
So you say like you bring a lot of like birds to the events and stuff. Are there wings clipped or they on leashes?
So they are leashed. The wings are not clipped because they can still fly around in their flight buildings. But most of them have brain damage, so they don't realize that they can fly away. So, but we do have birds that try to go.
Plan with us for your next 5 years.
Probably, well, I'm going to University of New England, so, and I really like it there, so I'll probably be there for 4 years. And then I want to do something with animals and helping, so depending what I want to do, I might go like to vet school.
Veterinary medicine, perhaps?
I've thought about vet for the longest time. I wanted to be a vet, but then I started realizing that I get attached to animals too quickly. Like if I see a dog on the street, I'll be talking about it for a week. And so if I had to put down a dog, I think I would just cry. So I don't think that's much stable for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, while you were in Nepal, was your charity about like emotional, like just having them have some friend? Did you bring them any, like you mentioned school supplies? Like I was wondering exactly what the charity aspect was that you were doing.
We all brought donations and we split them between the elementary school and the kids from
like
HCC.
supplies, like school supplies
Yeah.
donations?
And you were volunteering your time to be
Yeah. And some, like, it didn't have to be school supplies. One girl, Dana, she brought, it's like sport equipment, so they can play sports, because they only know basketball, really, so.
Cool, thanks.
Basketball is big in Nepal.
Very big. Yeah. Yeah.
What was your most memorable experience in your whole project and probably your least favorite moment in your project?
The whole project. I don't know, I liked it all. I don't really have ever had a bad experience with anything yet, so I liked it all. Yeah.
Did you have more stressful days than others? I'm sure every Y student has, but you just said that you liked everything, so.
Honestly, I wasn't stressed. I'm really good at time management because I usually get things done way before ahead of time, so I wasn't stressed. So watching, like one of my Y's family, he was telling me how stressed he was, and I was like, don't really share that.
Did you find it hard to keep your journal like that when you were on Nepal?
No, I actually took another journal with me, and then one of my friends that I met there, Maylee, she got me a small journal too. So I wrote everything in there, and then I copied everything and then put it in my journal.
Sarah, just a real basic question. In Nepal, the Himalayas are located, obviously. Were you very high up in elevation in the location you stayed?
Yes.
How was that to breathe? Because I know people have a hard time breathing sometimes.
I didn't really notice a difference, but I did, there's a lot of dust there. The roads are unfinished, so there's dirt roads. And I did have my throat did start to hurt after a while, so I had to use a mask. Any other questions? Yes?
A comment and then a question. Sarah's journal is amazing. If you have a minute and you want to flip through it, she has it up front. Well, her presentation is a teeny fraction of what's in there, which is often the case with the WISE project. One of my favorite stories that you told yes, when we were talking about this was about Pete the hawk. Could you tell a story about Pete the hawk, and maybe we'll close with that?
Alright, so Pete is actually a girl. So we had him for a few years, and then just a few months ago he started laying eggs. So he's a girl.
Thank you all so much for coming.